right, let's pick it up with forest fires. Now, what causes forest fires besides obviously vandalism of some sort? What causes them? Anything?
Extreme humidity.
Extreme humidity causes a forest fire? Curious. What is it?
Global warming.
Global warming might dry out a forest. That might be a contributor, but what actually sets the spark?
What about heavy clouds?
Heavy clouds? Now, do you know what fire is? Have you ever seen fire?
Yeah.
Yeah. Clouds begin forest fires.
Lightning?
Can you stop with that, please?
Sir, what about lightning? Like if lightning strikes?
There you go. Lightning. There you go.
Yeah.
Not the cloud, the lightning. All right, good. I feel a little bit better. Okay, forest fires. So you have lightning. Sometimes forest fires are relatively mild and it will clean out the brush, the undergrowth. Sometimes undergrowth is cleared manually to help prevent forest fires. Yeah. But what happens if the forest fire is absolutely overwhelming, everything is destroyed? What happens? What happens? Well, the plants that were burned, where do they go? Up in smoke?
No, they mix with the soil.
Yeah, some of the ash becomes nutrients for the new forest, right? Now, so then what happens? You get, if you look, for instance, let's forget forest for a second. A field, a cultivated field that's no longer cultivated. It's just grass. And it's cut, every other week, the grass is cut. And it's maintained. It looks really nice. But then, it's not maintained. And it's let go. What's going to happen? What's going to start growing? Rats? Grass is going to start growing, okay. And then, they said rats. That's a little weird. Okay. Not that I thought you said rats, but I would think you might have said rats. That would be weird. So grass starts growing. And how big does it get? Really big. And then what? Then that's it? No. Just grows up to the sky?
No.
What happens? Small shrubs might start to grow, right? Yes. Animals might move in. Yeah. Animals might move in. Yeah. It might develop into a little bit of a mini ecosystem. Yeah. A lot of sun, because there's no trees yet, are there? But you're going to get a lot of low shrubs, aren't you? And then what's going to happen? Well, you're kind of jumping the gun, but you're going to get progressively larger plants, more animals, more types of animals, more diversity of animals, and eventually large trees.
They get higher because of the water.
What gets higher?
The trees, they can.
Yeah, the trees will grow very high, etc. And then you have your forest. And what is that called? What is that called? I mean, you've read this, right? I mean, it's right there, looking right at it. There's the book right there. It's called what? What's it called? It's called Primary Succession. Read to me what primary succession is. Go ahead.
Primary succession is the gradual growth of organisms in an area that was previously bare, such as rock.
Okay, that's it?
Yes.
It says the gradual growth of organisms in an area that was previously bare, such as rock. What is secondary succession?
Secondary succession is a gradual growth of organism in an area that previously had a number of organisms.
Okay. The regeneration of a burned forest is an example of secondary succession. So, it's simply a question of degrees. Primary succession I think of as where you have a field, where you have just grass, short-cut grass, nothing was let to grow, there were no organisms there, maybe some worms in the soil, maybe some organisms down deep, but nothing, no rabbits, no gophers, nothing really, because the lawn is fertilized, so that would tend to kill things. Maybe some herbs, maybe some pesticides to keep some of the gophers out, etc. So it's pretty barren. It's just grass with maybe some worms. Okay. Secondary succession is when you have a forest burns down, and then you get the forest returns. It starts with plants, and then it gets more complex until trees actually grow. Because remember, the forest had a lot of things in it. The seeds could survive the forest burning. Yes?
Sir, you might think it's a bit out of the topic, but what if, suppose there is a forest and next to it is a volcano, and if the volcano it erupts, then the lava will go, and will the forest be hurt?
Yeah, the forest.
Obviously.
Will the forest be hurt by the volcano? Yes. A volcano is not just lava. It's not just lava flows and rock on top of rock. It can also be ash flows and hot pyroclastic flow, which is simply Pompeii. You've heard of Pompeii? Pompeii was a city at the base of the volcano Vesuvius near a city called Naples in a country called Italy. Mount Vesuvius. And Mount Vesuvius erupted back around 79 AD, I'm guessing. If that's right, I'd be amazed. And some people left as soon as it made rumblings, but you had to go pretty far away not to be hurt because of the pyroclastic flow. It was literally supersonic. It was so fast, you couldn't have possibly escaped it by running. And the pyroclastic flow was hundreds of degrees and made of gases and ash. And it wasn't lava, it was just ash from a volcano.
Pollution.
Well, pollution, I suppose. I mean, you want to call it was natural form of pollution. It was just mountain. It wasn't man-made pollution. But it was, there's no way a forest is going to survive that. If you have if a forest is buried, nothing's going to survive that. It would just be gone. You have to start over completely. So, you could also have it covered with lava, which is rock. There are parts of the island of Hawaii. Hawaii is a state in the United States that's made of many islands. The largest island, the most populous island, is Oahu. That's where the central government is located, the main offices for the central government. But the largest island in the Hawaiian chain is called Hawaii. And Hawaii has a very large volcano on it that's constantly erupting, spreading lava all around.
Doesn't that damage people?
Yeah, of course it does. It damages
Then
people.
why, if it continuously, like, it's happening, then why do people start living there?
I don't know. It beats me. I mean, some people like to live in California with earthquakes. I don't know. I mean, people live everywhere. I mean, you name it, people live there. You know? Don't ask me. I don't know. Way beyond the scope of this lesson. That would be way beyond the scope of the lesson. But when we're talking about succession, we're talking about a forest fire and then the gradual regrowth of the forest. And when I say gradual, I mean very slowly. There was, when I was a kid, I'm 61, and this was when I was 15. There were fires. I grew up in New Jersey, and there were fires along a road called the Garden State Parkway, down in Toms River, north of Toms River, between Lakewood and Toms River, between Brick and Toms River, along the parkway, on the southbound side. And you can still see that forest isn't completely back. I mean, it's getting there, you know, it's in good shape. Obviously it's a forest, but you can still see that it's not perfect. You know, it's not...
It's missing something.
It is something that, yeah, there's something missing, you can see. So it takes many years for forests to regenerate. Many years. Lifetime for a forest to regenerate. So it does. It's a renewable resource. Unfortunately, fires, all of Northern California is burning, literally. But it's amazing how slowly it takes place. So that's the succession. That's the succession. All right, so what else? You have talk to me about diversity. Diversity is what? How would you measure diversity? It's very simple. Very simple. It's not it's not vague. It's not like anything, it's something specific.
Yeah, like there are the lions and the deers, they're separate, like...
No, you're making this way too complicated. Way too complicated.
So,
it's right, I mean, it's right there in your book.
Yeah.
It's the number of species. You calculate, you count the number of species. The greater the number of species, the greater the diversity. Simple as that. The more species you have,
the more diversity.
The more your diversity you have. Now, we were talking about let's go to the ocean. I love to talk about the ocean. Here I have the equator, and here I have the North Atlantic. Here I have the South Atlantic. We'll say it's the Caribbean. Okay? Yes? What has more fish? More fish. If I want to go fishing, southern waters or northern waters? What is it? North? How many people say north? Raise their hand. How many people say south? Raise their hand.
What?
You have to vote. You have to vote. You have to vote. How many people say southern waters? Raise your hand. Southern waters, raise your hand. How many people say northern waters has greater number of fish? All right, if I was going to be a fisherman, okay.
Sorry, I didn't.
You didn't vote. Okay.
Yes, I did, but I voted to the south. I'm confused, like northern and southern. But if they both have the same amount.
Right. The southern waters are far less stressed. You can have, there's a greater number of species of fish that can live in the south because of its relatively stressless environment. So you have high diversity here. You have very, very high diversity in southern waters, but you have low numbers. You have low numbers. Here, I have low diversity, but high numbers. What does that mean? What's the significance of that? Well, here I might have, let's say I have 100 different species here. Just give me a second. Let's say I have 100 species here, but I only have 10 species here. Yeah? So I may have thousands of that 10 different species, but I only have a few of these species each.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's more than that. Just multiply that by a million.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes?
Sir, is the Mariana Trench in south or north?
The Marianas Trench is in the South Pacific. Is in the north, the southern part of the northern Pacific. Philippines Islands, I think. The Marianas Islands. There are trenches off the Philippines, the Marianas Islands. There's all kinds of, I don't know specifically where it is. It's obviously not, it's the Marianas. Look it up on your phone. I don't know specifically. The Northern Marianas. Anyway, excuse me. So listen, there are far more fish in the northern waters, so you were all wrong, okay? Far more fish. There are far more species in the southern waters but the total number, I mean, the water in the North Pacific is literally like pea soup. You know, it's so thick with nutrients and plankton and all kinds of gooey stuff. And if you were running a fishing industry, this is where you go. You don't come to southern waters. You go to northern waters. That is a greater number of this is large biomass. Okay, small biomass. So when I think of diversity, I think of the ocean. I think of the Amazon rainforest. I think of the Central African tropical rainforest along the Congo River. You know, along the equator. That's when I think of diversity. When I think of terrestrial diversity, I think of Amazonia, the Congo region, Central Africa. That's what I think of. When I think of high diversity in the ocean, I think of around the equator, say, the southern waters of this northern hemisphere, the northern waters of the southern hemisphere. Yes? I think of, when I think of the total biomass, I think of more stressful environments. For instance, agriculture. Agriculture does not take place successfully in in regions of the world that are, you know, well, that's not altogether true, I suppose, but to me, agriculture is in temperate climates. You get the best, you know, temperate to tropical climates. Severely tropical climates, they have a lot of problems when it comes to agriculture. Rainfall, you know, controlling some of the elements. You have cold winters, etc. But when I think of agriculture, I think of when you want to produce a lot of one thing. You know, you want an area that's not going to have a lot of diversity, a lot of competition for space. You know, you want something where you have a more stressful environment. Anything on the Marianas Trench? You guys look it up? You guys got fed up with it? You're not doing it? How long does it take? You got it?
Sir,
you what?
Spelling.
No, can you tell
Give me your phone. All right. I don't know how to spell it. You just spell any way you want, and it'll correct. There it is. You know, can you guys remember something very important? You guys were born in the 21st century. Yeah.
21st?
You think you'd be able to like use technology better than old people like me who was born in the middle of the 20th century? The Marianas Trench, or Marianas Trench, is the deepest. It's located in the Western Pacific. It's Western Pacific, as in off the coast of the Indochina, I think. Yeah, here it is. It says it is an average of 200 kilometers to the east of the Mariana Islands in the Western Pacific, east of the Philippines. So it's east of the Philippines, in the Marianas Islands. That's where I thought it was. I think Philippines. And then I catch myself and think Marianas Islands. Okay, so where are we? Are we done? Forest fires? Forest fires and succession. Are we done? Okay.